the African Transformation Movement launching its election manifesto in Buffalo City Stadium. That's in East London today. The party believes that their manifesto will speak to issues affecting South Africans. Members of the party from across the country are expected to converge there for the gathering. Let's take you live to that now and bring in SABC News reporter Sidimi Mfeku. Sidimi, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Is there a large turnout there? People wanting to listen to, the party and what it has to say ahead of the elections next year?
Right, Griselda, yes, the African Transformation Movement is here in East London. They are beginning their manifesto launch ahead of the 2024 general elections. They've come to the Eastern Cape as their first point of their launch, and numbers are quite high in here. As you can see, members of African Transformation Movement making their way in. There's quite a number of leaders in the white marquee that you might be seeing there, leaders from Lesotho. They're saying there's traditional leaders from outside of South Africa that are affiliated to the party. We also understand that, African Transformation Movement in 2019, had made an appearance, gained themselves about 2 seats in the National Assembly, and also cementing themselves here in the Eastern Cape as well, with just 1 seat in the provincial legislature, as well as in KZN. They're saying that they're coming back strong to get, what belongs to them. And now we bring in the national spokesperson for African Transformation Movement, Zaman Jona. Buti, thank you very much for your time. I think what is most important for us to find out here is, why did you choose to come to the Eastern Cape for the beginning of the manifesto launch?
Thank you so much. Well, the African Transformation Movement over the past 3 months has been crisscrossing the lengths and breadths of this country, holding build-up manifesto rallies to this particular one. We started in Cape Town, moved up to the Free State, Limpopo, Durban, all the way down even Gauteng. So all the 9 provinces have been covered. Now we have come to a province, not because the province truly has the biggest voter base of the African Transformation Movement, but also it seems like it would be the most normal thing to do when you have, in the last election, 33 of the 53 councillors coming from the Eastern Cape. So without a doubt, the Eastern Cape has proven to be the base of the African Transformation Movement.
And when we're talking about, reflecting on the previous manifesto for 2019, quite a number of things you had mentioned there, the things about, revising or reviewing the justice system in the country. You talked about, economic development, trying to create, in fact, when you get to Parliament, you had said that you wanted to make sure that you change how the justice system looks like and how it benefits South Africans. Going into this coming election, would you say that you've done enough in Parliament to make sure that you win the hearts of the people, especially insofar as the manifesto is concerned?
One of the things President Zungula truly led from the front with was the issue of accountability. We said coming to this particular 6th administration is going to be important that the executive must be held accountable. We have had numerous impressions on Parliament failing to hold the executive accountable, and truly, hands down, the African Transformation Movement from 2019 till now has diligently done what needed to be done as far as holding the executive accountable. But also, we spoke to issues of the protection of South Africans from the physical to the psychological aspect of their growth, to socio-economic and spiritual sense. When we say that, we say create a conducive environment wherein South Africans will be able to grow holistically. So the environment must speak to growth, but also which also speaks to matters of health. This is why during COVID, African Transformation Movement was one, in fact, if not a lone wolf at the time, raising Section 12, subsection C of the Constitution, where it says it is very imperative that there must not be massive either scientific experiments or biological experiments that are conducted on the citizens of this country without them giving a consent. And we know now what we did not know then, that many people have suffered severely from the side effects of half-cooked vaccines. The African Transformation Movement has always been about the protection of the health space allowing citizens to grow. In the education sector, we've been very vocal, especially on matters of exclusion, on matters of historic debt, on matters of non-payment on time of fees for students. And we're still saying that when you look at the basic education and the institutions of higher learning, there is no correlation or sync there. When you look at matters like you would have an X number or maybe a 2X number of students coming from the basic education grade 12 and only have an X number of available spaces. What are you saying those students must do? And these are some of the challenges that we've always been raising.
Yes, and I like that you mentioned how COVID-19 is one of, the facets wherein you try to widen your wings and get yourself cemented in the country, but also government, national government, in fact every sphere of government has been complaining about how COVID-19 has had an effect, especially an economic one, throughout the country. KZN, one of the provinces wherein you have a sit, is still struggling, grappling with coming back to life following what has happened there during the COVID-19. What are you bringing to the people of KwaZulu-Natal? What are you coming to their provincial legislature with, especially considering their economic outlook at the moment?
Thank you so much. The African Transformation Movement has always had a multi-pronged approach to economic development. One, the protection of the microeconomic space, the rural and the township economies. We are saying the prioritization of South Africans in that sphere of the economy becomes pivotal in order for us to be able to give South Africans what they need. The microeconomic space is a low-hanging fruit. It is important that South Africans must be prioritized in jobs that do not require much skill. And we do not find that there is a challenge where South Africans cannot find full expression in their own economy. In the macro space, remember, the African Transformation Movement is a Pan-Africanist movement. From Cape to Cairo, we speak for the growth of Africans, and we are welcoming everybody who wants to come in this country and the rest of the world, but they must come in the space that is dedicated for them. The African Transformation Movement macroeconomic space can accommodate more people, but they must also keep to the rules and regulations of the country, employ 60% of the population, inject 5 million rand into the economy of the country. Those kinds of things that they must be done. And then another thing, as far as the economy is concerned, we believe that there's a mismatch between the ideals of society and the education system. As a result, you are not able to absorb the unemployed workers or the unemployed graduates because there is a mismatch between the ideals of society as far as the economy is concerned with what is currently the offering of our high institutions. So as the African Transformation Movement, for the people of KZN, Limpopo, the Western Cape, the Free State, it is important that we are not just singling out one province off, but we want a holistic growth for all South Africans.
And looking at maybe some of your efforts as ATM, as a member of parliament there, in trying to bring a sync between higher education and learning, as well as the employment sector, what would you say that you've done so far to try and bring, give hope to those people that are unemployed and say to them, okay, this is the little that we've done so far. Give us your vote. This is something we can do better.
Recently, we spoke of health inspectors. There are numerous graduates who are sitting in the outskirts of participation whilst our communities are dying because of unhealthy foods. The spaza shops that we find in our localities are not giving South Africans what is due to them. The quality of food has degraded. We have had listeriosis not so long ago, but we have health professionals who are sitting there. This is why the African Transformation Movement wrote to all the necessary directorates, directing those ministers to actually say, one of the priorities of you as government is to protect society. Now, if we are going to ingest food that is either of a lower standard or it is expired and there is nobody to actually monitor that, then we have a problem. Let's see to it that we are able to absorb these. And this is but one recent occurrence where we are saying we are pushing as the African Transformation Movement so that there is sync between what is produced in our schools and what is a need of society in the current dispensation.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for your time. That is Zaman Jona, who is the national spokesperson for African Transformation Movement, giving us there some of their, offerings to the South African community, saying that they have tried to bring a sync between the employment sector as well as the higher education sector. As we understand that there's quite a high number of unemployed graduates in South Africa currently. He's saying that, they've tried by all means to bring a solution to the economic crisis that we're experiencing or that we're seeing in various provinces, in fact, throughout the country. And that is the spokesperson for now. And we're going to be monitoring this manifesto launch as the day goes, Griselda.
All right, thank you very much indeed. The ATM party out there in Buffalo City are all political parties certainly crisscrossing the country ahead of next year's elections, trying to get a piece of the pie of those voters that will go out and cast their ballots. That's next year, of course.